The golden sunlight of noon spilled gently across the front yard of their modest Dehradun home. On the rooftop, a blue Kashmiri shawl fluttered in the wind, carrying with it the fragrance of years of care and countless dreams. This was the house where Ananya had grown up, nurtured by her parents' love, watered by their sacrifices, and forged in the fire of her own relentless determination. Despite the constant struggles of a middle-class household, she had always been a bright student, ranking at the top since her school days. Nights spent studying on her father's old velvet armchair, with the aroma of her mother's khichdi wafting from the kitchen, had become the backdrop of her childhood. On her study table lay the most precious letter of her life's offer letter from a prestigious university in the United Kingdom. It was a full scholarship. Only her flight ticket, visa processing fees, and a few essential expenses had been somehow managed by her father. She had read the words 100 times, but every time her heart leapt when her eyes fell on the paper. We are pleased to offer you. It wasn't just a letter. It was a doorway to the world she had always dreamed of. Her father, Araneva, was a retired school teacher in the local high school. His white kurta pajama, thick-framed glasses, and the honesty etched across his face had always defined him. Life's ups and downs had never shaken his integrity. From childhood, he had taught his daughter one lesson. If you remain truthful, you will win in the end. Ananya had carried that belief in her heart like a shield. Her mother, Kusum Devi, was the embodiment of tenderness. Always fussing, always asking, "Have you eaten? Did you drink water?" That day too, she stood on the balcony, gazing again and again at the Skyper house, wondering if the farewell sky always looked a little different. On the small table beside her, she had carefully listed out their expenses in neat blue ink, where they had saved. How much was borrowed? How much more was needed? Planning every detail, every rupee, so that their daughter's journey could begin without a glitch. "Ma, I've kept my visa copy, offer letter, CAS letter, everything in one file." "Don't worry," Ananya said gently. "I'm not worried," dear Kusum smiled faintly. "I just want everything to go smoothly. And when you sit by the plane window, just once, think of your parents who are watching you from here." Her father silently checked the file once again. "Ananya, have you verified the spellings? On the old passport, my name didn't have Kumar. But, Baba, it's fixed on the new passport. The affidavit is also attached. Everything is fine." He nodded slightly, though his cautious eyes betrayed his worry. That evening, relatives and neighbors came by to wish her well. Some brought sweets in paper bags, others small gifts. Everyone proudly said, "Our girl is going abroad to study. It's such a matter of pride." Ananya's heart swayed between joy and Annie's joy, because her dream was about to take flight. Unease, because she was stepping into an unknown land, a new world of challenges. The train to Delhi was late at night. On the platform, as the shrill whistle pierced the air, Ananya felt she was stepping away from the world she had known. One brown backpack, one suitcase, and one folder of documents, that was her entire world now. Her parents stood on either side, silent yet heavy with emotion. When the train began to move, Kusum rested her head on her daughter's shoulder and whispered, "Be careful, call us often." Her father, silent as stone, gazed out the window, but his large hand rested firmly on her head from time to time like a blessing, like a shield. By the time they reached Delhi in the morning, the city loomed large like a metallic giant billboard stretched to the horizon. Endless airport terminals, moving escalators, and the relentless ticking of clocks. Inside the airport, Ananya inhaled deeply. Excitement and fear twisted together inside her chest. Security check. Baggage dropple went smoothly. Then came immigration. Her number flashed on the large screen. Counter 12. Her hands trembled slightly as she approached. Behind the counter sat Vikram Singh. His trimmed mustache, sharp predatory eyes, and condescending smile immediately unsettled her. She handed him her passport, visa, and offer letter with polite nervousness. He flipped through them slowly, as though he had all the time in the world. Then, squinting at the old passport, he set the new one aside and said coldly, "Problem?" Ananya's chest tightened. "What problem, sir?" "On your old passport, your father's name doesn't have Kumar. On the new one, it does?" doesn't match. You cannot fly on this passport. The words pierced her like glass shards. She tried to remain calm. Sir, it's a minor correction. I have the affidavit, the Gazette notification, everything is in order. But Vikram suddenly raised his voice. You're here to teach me the rules? Stand aside, no. Better, step out. You will not fly today. People in line turned to stare. To them, she was suddenly suspicious, an offender. Her cheeks burned with humiliation. At his signal, a guard led her into a small, glass-walled room. Once the door shut, the world shrank. The air grew heavy, suffocating. Inside, Vikram leaned back in his chair, smirking. His eyes gleamed with glee. Big university! Full scholarship, yet you can't even get your documents right! A voice trembled. Sir, my flight is in an hour and a half. Please, there must be a way. There is a way, he said smoothly. But solutions require service? You understand? The implication was clear. Ananya felt the walls close in on her. Her father's words echoed in her ears. If things get hard, remain truthful. She clenched her fists, forcing back her tears. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Her father. Vikram opened it irritably, only to find Arunava standing with folded hands. Sir, we are ordinary people. If there's a mistake, please tell us how to fix it. Your idealism and your daughter's papers both are flawed. Go outside. If we decide to solve it, we'll call you! Vikram's mocking tone cut like a knife. The insult to her father burned inside Ananya. Moments later, the final boarding call echoed. Through the glass wall, she saw the plane taxiing down the runway, taking with it not just passengers, but her dream. In the taxi back to the hotel, silence pressed heavily on all three. Her reflection in the window startled her eyes tired, face shadowed with defeat. Her mother wiped her tears with her sari's end. Her father sat stonily still. That night was endless. Her favorite books on the suitcase, the university prospectus on the table, the passport lying in a corner. They all mocked her. You failed. Vikram's sneer. Her father's humiliated silence replayed in her mind. In the mirror, she fought with herself. Have I lost? Am I broken? At dawn? Her father spoke softly. Don't worry, I'll mortgage our small piece of land today. I'll raise the money. We must pay for it. Otherwise, we'll never fly. The words jolted Ananya upright, her spine straightened. No, Baba, not a single rupee. You will not mortgage our land. If I give in today, tomorrow he'll do this. To another girl, I will fight. Her mother looked at her in shock. She had never seen such fire in her daughter's eyes. Arunava removed his glasses and placed them on the table. How? First, I'll file a complaint, and then I'll find a way to get proof. Thus began her battle. Days passed after that humiliating night at the airport, but Ananya could not erase the bitter memory from her heart. The shame, the helplessness, the anger, all of it burned inside her like a fire that refused to die out. Every night when she lay in bed, she would remember the smirk on the immigration officer's face, the way he had spoken down to her, and the way people had looked at her as though she was guilty of something she had done. She wanted justice, but she didn't know how to get it. She was just an ordinary girl, the daughter of a retired school teacher, with no connections and no power. Who would listen to her voice? Who would believe her over a powerful officer? These questions haunted her. But Ananya wasn't someone who gave up, as she was her father's daughter, and he had always told her, truth has a way of shining through the darkness, but only if you carry it bravely in your hands. She couldn't sit silently. She started writing down everything that had happened that night, every word, every insult, every detail of the humiliation. She wanted a record, a document that no one could deny. Then she began looking for legal help. Most lawyers she approached turned her away politely, saying that fighting against an immigration officer was nearly impossible. Some even warned her, you'll only make things worse for yourself, Ananya. Forget it and move on. But she didn't move on. She kept searching until she found a young lawyer named Rohit. who had recently started his practice and believed in fighting for justice. No matter how small the client or how powerful the opponent, Rohit listened carefully to Ananya's story, his brows tightening in anger as she spoke. When she finished, he said firmly, "You were wronged, Ananya. This ISNT, just about UITS, about every girl who faces harassment and every officer who thinks they can misuse their power. If you are ready to fight, I will stand with you." His words lit a fire inside her heart. For the first time since that night, Ananya felt she wasn't alone. Together, they drafted a formal complaint against Officer Vikram Singh, the immigration officer who had humiliated her. They submitted it to the higher authorities. And soon, the case caught the attention of the media. At first, the news appeared only in small columns of local newspapers. Young woman alleges harassment by immigration officer, but within days, it began spreading like wildfire. Television channels picked it up. Social media amplified her story. And hashtags began trending. Hashtag justice for ANA, NYA, and hashtag stop harassment at airports. Thousands of young women shared their own stories of facing rude behavior, harassment, and humiliation at the hands of officials. Ananya's courage gave them the strength to speak out, and her case quickly turned from a personal battle into a movement. But with fame came danger. One evening, as Ananya was walking home from the market, a black SUV stopped near her. Two men stepped out and blocked her way. One of them whispered threateningly, "Withdraw your complaints, or you and your family will regret it." Her heart pounded in fear, but she stood her ground. "Tell your boss," she replied with a trembling voice that still carried courage, "that I will not be silenced." The men laughed coldly and drove away, leaving her shaken. She ran home, tears streaming down her face, but her resolve grew stronger. When she told her parents, her mother broke down in fear. "Why are you putting yourself in danger, Ananya? You are just one girl. They are powerful people. What if something happens to you?" But her father placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder and said, "She is doing the right thing. We cannot teach our daughters to bow down to injustice. If something happens to her, let the world know that she stood for truth." Those words gave Ananya renewed strength. Meanwhile, Rohit filed a petition in court demanding a formal inquiry into the conduct of Officer Vikram Singh. The courtroom was packed on the day of the first hearing. Journalists crowded the benches, activists held placards outside demanding justice, and curious citizens filled the corridors. Ananya stood there, nervous but determined. As her lawyer presented the evidence, her written account, her travel documents, and testimonies of passengers who had witnessed the officer's rude behavior, Vikram Singh, dressed in his uniform, sat confidently with his high-profile lawyer, smirking as though the entire case was a joke. But as the proceedings went on, his confidence began to crack. Witness after witness testified against him. One elderly couple confirmed that they had seen him shouting at Ananya unnecessarily. Another young woman bravely admitted that she too had faced harassment from him, but had been too afraid to speak up until now. The judge listened carefully, noting everything. Outside the courtroom, people began chanting slogans. "Justice for Ananya" and "Down with corruption." Television cameras captured every moment, and Ananya became a symbol of resistance against misuse of authority. But with every victory came greater risk. Late-night phone calls with no one on the other end, strange men following her on the streets, and even threats to a lawyer. These became daily hurdles. Yet, she did not give up. One night, Rohit came to meet her and said, "Ananya, they will try everything, money, power, threats to break you. But remember, if you stay strong, you can inspire an entire generation. Do not think of this as just your fight. Think of it as a fight for all those who never got the chance to speak." His words echoed in her mind. She knew he was right. She remembered the tears in her mother's eyes, the pride in her father's voice, the fear of the young women who wrote to her online saying, "You are our hope." She could not turn back now. The media storm grew louder. News anchors debated her case every night. Activists held candlelight march, and petitions demanding strict action against corrupt officers gathered thousands of signatures. Ananya's name was now known across the country. Some hailed her as a hero, while others dismissed her as an attention seeker. But she didn't care about the labels. She only wanted justice. Finally, after weeks of hearings, the court ordered a high-level inquiry into Officer Vikram Singh's conduct. When the announcement was made, the courtroom erupted in cheers. Ananya closed her eyes and let out a deep breath of relief. It wasn't the end of the journey, but it was the first major victory. That night, as she walked home with her parents, she looked up at the sky. The stars seemed brighter than before. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace. She whispered to herself, "This fight is not just mine anymore. This is for every girl who was ever silenced, and I will not stop until the truth wins." After Vikram Singh's arrest, Ananya's name spread everywhere: newspapers, television, and even social media. Headlines read, "An ordinary girl's extraordinary courage." People from across the country began praising her. University students held rallies in her support. Discussions about women's safety and corruption were reignited, but to Ananya, this sudden fame felt like a heavy responsibility. She realized her personal battle had turned into a voice for thousands. She was no longer just fighting for her own dreams, but had become a symbol of hope for others. One morning, a letter arrived from her university. With trembling hands, she opened it. The words almost made her cry. "We admire your courage and integrity. Your scholarship, which was wrongfully canceled, has been reinstated. You are welcome to resume your studies from next month." Tears filled Ananya's eyes. Her mother embraced her tightly, crying in joy. Her father, with calm pride, said, "See, my child, truth always wins. You have not only saved your dream, but also made us proud." This time, when Ananya booked her flight, her heart was not weighed down by fear. Instead, it was filled with courage and pride. Chapter 10. Returned to the airport the day she returned to the airport. Memories of her earlier humiliation, how broken she had felt then. How small and powerless. But today, the atmosphere was different. As she approached the immigration counter, she noticed whispers around her. People were pointing and saying, "That's the girl who stood against corruption." The officer at the desk suddenly stood up and extended his hand respectfully. "Madam, we are proud of you. You are a true fighter in our eyes. Today, it is our honor to assist you with all your immigration formalities." Ananya's eyes welled with tears, again this time not of shame, but of pride. Chapter 11. Beyond the clouds. When the plane soared into the sky, Ananya leaned against the window, staring at the vast expanse of white clouds. They looked like endless possibilities, she thought. Once, I believed everything was over. But this is not the end, it's a new beginning. My struggle is not only for me, but for all those whose dreams are broken unjustly. She made a silent vow to herself one day. She would return to her country and create an organization that would give strength and courage to ordinary girls, helping them fight injustice just as she had. Chapter 12. A promise for the future, even after settling in her new university abroad. Ananya's story continued to make headlines. She was invited to international forums to speak about courage and integrity. In one of her speeches, she said, "I am not a hero. I am just an ordinary girl who refused to bow down to injustice. If I can do it, then every girl can. All it takes is courage, determination, and the will to act at the right moment." Her words ignited hope in the hearts of many young women. They saw her not as a celebrity, but as one of their own proof that ordinary people can spark extraordinary change. Epilogu Ananya's story didn't end with that flight. It only marked the beginning of a larger journey. The girl once dismissed as ordinary at an airport proved to the world that the brave are never ordinary. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more romantic stories like this. I'll see you again in another new video. Until then, take care, stay healthy, and stay safe. Wishing you all the best. Goodbye for now, and thank you